many that are not a good investment, that are not trustworthy. I'm here to tell you today that I have found the person who has the ability to give you the best investment when you're looking to truly pursue marketing and advertising at the highest level. Today's guest has the ability to show us exactly how to do that and the return that you're going to get by doing that. I'm thrilled to introduce you to today's guest. Stay with us, folks. So the big question is this: how do those of us in the real estate industry with crazy amounts of ambition, how do we think bigger than the building of our own empires? How do we simultaneously seek success and significance, income and impact? My name is Justin Stoddard, and this is the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. All right, welcome back, guys, to the show. Those of you that follow this show know that I'm the warm market guy, that I'm all about helping you to, number one, maximize what you can get from your personal sphere. And number two, to really tap in deep to strategic partnerships, finding people who can refer you all the time. But I'm here to tell you that there will come a point where those two strategies will give you lots of discretionary income. And you can pull that money out of your business, but why would you want to do that? Why wouldn't you want to continue to double down and invest deeply into your business? And when you do that, you're going to want to be sure that you do it with someone who can get you a great ROI. And I have with us here today somebody that can absolutely help us to do that today. His name is Cody May. Cody, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me today, man. I really do appreciate it. Excited to GM today with you around marketing.
Super excited. Cody's somebody who I have deep admiration for, both professionally as well as personally. He's a fantastic human being. He was introduced to me by one of my favorite mentors, someone who I deeply admire, who has full endorsement of this individual, by the way. And just thrilled to be working closely with Cody. And again, for those of you that know me, know that I'm the warm market guy, right? I believe strongly that warm referrals are better than cold leads. The cool thing about what we're going to learn from Cody today is how the typical way that you can go and invest into cold leads and not get much of a return because you're chasing, he's taken the pain out of that. He's identified how most real estate agents don't convert those at high levels. And he's actually taken that off your plate. So thrilled to be with you here today, Cody. Let's jump into kind of what you do. But before we do that, I think it's only requisite that we give people a better bio kind of on who you are. Now, you're obviously the CEO, right, of the global marketing agency, Sheridan Street, which is such a cool name, by the way. I absolutely love that. You're the co-founder of the Real Estate Growth Academy, which is a coaching organization really designed to help real estate agents and teams make more money, right? That's why we're here. I also know that you're a deep expert when it comes to advertising, when it comes to marketing, both in not only doing that, but actually then converting that into real business, right? Not just getting leads, but actually getting business. The name of your book is fascinating to me. You're the co-author of an Amazon best-selling book called What If You Could? The Mindset and Business Blueprint for Your Life of Purpose. You're the co-host of Studio PTBO Marketing Podcast and the Real Estate Agent Podcast. And your expertise has been featured in Thrive Global, Authority Magazine, Inverse, Ticker News Australia, and many other prominent business publications. This is no small thing to have you on the show today, my friend. And I'm excited to have you here. And I just want to put a kind of a word out to anybody and everybody that's listening here today. If you stay for the entire broadcast today, we're going to be giving you Cody's free real estate course. It's gold. I actually went and got access to it just this past week. Was really impressed by what you guys have put together. So that's going to be a gift from Cody to everybody for tuning in today. So long intro, but well deserved. Talk to me, Cody. When it comes to marketing and advertising, let's just start this off by asking the question: where do most people get it wrong?
Where do most people get it wrong? I think it's just lack of expectation around what marketing actually is. I think that there's a sense of misunderstanding around building an email list, building a tech subscriber list. I think that if more people were to invest into actually building their database, like, you and I have had multiple chats about this, and actually like play the long-term game in business where it's like, how many names and email addresses can I get on my database? Because I think a lot of people rely solely on digital media. So they rely on their Facebook or their Instagram or their Google or their personal Facebook page. And it's like, if that ever gets shut down, which we're seeing across the country, ad accounts are getting shut down, people are getting censored. This can happen to anyone. So by you having your own database gives you the ability to actually continually put out your message. So really, I think that there's just not enough education around the value of having people on a database. And then the other element to that is like people don't know how to actually build relationships with the database. So it's kind of twofold. It's like we just don't know that we need a database. We don't know that we need to get people off of the platform into a CRM. And then we don't know how much we should actually be nurturing that database. And I think that the reality is it's a lot more than we think. And if we were to actually spend more of our time and resources on actually educating the database, showing up as the knowledge broker in our local market, we would have a lot more successful businesses all around and a lot more sustainable business. Because our friend, and a friend mentor, Sheridan, consistently says the best way to overcome an objection is to simply have a larger database, have a larger pipeline. So that's, I think that there's just a lack of education around pipeline. Or there's just a lack of expectation around like now business and later business. And we need a little bit of both, especially in the real estate market where the buying cycle for real estate is so long. And I think there's just this false expectation that just because I have a conversation with you, somebody should convert tomorrow. When it's like, this is all a relationship business. And we say that, but we don't actually necessarily always believe that. So from a marketing perspective, it's like, it takes a lot more touch points to get somebody to make a buying decision. And we're not aware of how people go from problemware to actually purchasing. So I think that's a multifaceted question. And we can go down multiple rabbit holes, but that's kind of like a high level overview answer I would give.
Man, I can't agree with you more, Cody. I do believe that way too many agents play the short game, right? Whether it's even with their own sphere, their own database, or especially when they're people who are new, who they haven't met yet, who are new in conversation, that conversion takes time. And as we've both been taught by our dear mentor, Sheridan, is that all conversion happens in conversation. And if you're not 100%. Actively engaged in a conversation with people that stems from you marketing to them, playing the long game, that the conversion is never going to come. And then you're going to say those leads were bad, right? Or my sphere doesn't give me enough. When in actuality, the fingers are pointed right back at us, right? That we actually didn't play the right game to actually add enough value in order to get those people, not leads, but those people, give them the value that they needed at the time that they needed it. Therefore, they went elsewhere, right? They went somewhere else.
Totally. Yeah. It's humanizing leads. I think that you're exactly right. I think I said a lot. I'm like, if we were to just treat every lead with respect and care and humanize every single person in our database and, treat them like doesn't matter who they are, whether they're buying in 3 months, 6 months, because when you interview the top agents from around the world, and we advise some of the top agents around the world, they don't care whether you're buying 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months. They don't care whether you're ever going to purchase a home with them. They just, they lead with value. They lead with education. They lead with really wanting to make a massive indent in the world. So those are the types of people we look to work with.
I think there's so much advice out there about what people should be doing when it comes to marketing and advertising, right? As I described before, they're in everybody who has a real estate license, everybody's inbox daily, and through their news feeds, it's all these propositions that we can bring you leads, right? And I always argue that what you don't necessarily need is more leads. What you need is more closings. And a faster way to get more closings is when it's warmed up, right? When there's a warm referral. Now, we all know that even when you maximize what you can get from your sphere, even when you maximize what you can get from strategic partners, there comes a point where you want to get more leads, right? Where you want to have more people coming into your ecosystem, into your world. And I guess my question is, what is the unique thing that is done at Sheridan Street, right? When agents work with you, that causes these leads that are cold to go warm, right? To be turned kind of not magically, but to be turned into something that agents want again, as opposed to just a cold lead that they're chasing.
Yeah, that's a great question. We work with clients all across North America, and I'm consistently traveling all across North America, meeting different agents from different markets, and every market is very similar and very different at the same time, where it's like a lot of it comes down to messaging. So a lot of it comes down to making sure that you can effectively communicate your message, to your audience, and making sure that you have the ability. Sorry, I have people in the background. I'm, like I said, I'm traveling consistently. I'm like, and right now I'm back home in Chatham visiting family for a long weekend. So, what I was getting at when it comes to like from a marketing perspective, I think that the mistake is that people make is they don't realize that the buying cycle, like I mentioned earlier, is a lot longer than it is, where it's like there's going to, like, if we were to take our database and break it down into 10% of people are ready to go right away, 10% of people will just never purchase with you, but then the 80% of people just need more time and more education. If we were to treat our database that way, things would get a lot more interesting, because we know that vast majority of money is made in the nurture, is made in the follow-up. So I think that one of the first things that I see where it's like, it's just a lack of reality, where it's like everyone I speak to should ultimately convert, where it's like, well, no, everyone you speak with ultimately needs more time and education. It's like, I think we've done a very good job at explaining that, like, we create conversations. So it's like, your job is to have the skill and the license in order to take people over the finish line to get them to the contract with close. My job is to have the conversation. Now, are there prerequisites to that conversation? For sure. Like, do you want to speak with people that are buying versus selling? Is there a certain price threshold that you're looking for? Is there a certain intent type you're looking for? Those are all things we consider. But I think that from a warm conversation, I think a lot of it comes down to skill in conversation, to be able to take even somebody that might be a little bit standoffish, because like, my big question is, like, why are they standoffish? Are they standoffish because they've been burned in the past? Are they standoffish because that's our standard flight or response, where you walk into a store, for example, and somebody comes up to you and they say, hey, like, do you need any help? And you're like, I'm just looking. That's a standard canned response. So I think a lot of it comes down to the conversations that we have. We have to get better at actually adjusting the way that we speak with people. But as far as having warmer conversations, that all comes down to nurture. It all comes down to, how many times are you emailing your database? What are you telling about them? What do they know about you? Do they know who you are, what you do, why you do it? How big is your brand? Like our friend Sheridan says, your brand is your invisible hand. That is a very massive part of what we do as real estate agents, as what we do as marketers, is making sure we get the right message in front of the right audience. But even the right message in front of the right audience requires nurture. Like, not everyone is going to be ready to go right away. And we have to have the system set up on the back end in order to continue the conversation and in order to continue telling a story on the front end and the back end. So that's kind of like, I guess, like, from a high level overview, why people just have a false expectation around what online lead gen works. Like, we tell all the people that will come into our world, we say, out of 10 conversations, our top performing agents are converting 2 to 4 into an in-person meeting. Out of the 2 to 4 into an in-person meeting, generally they'll have 1 to 2 people that decide to work with them. Maybe they'll get all 4 that will work with them, but it's just not realistic to say, hey, I have 10 conversations and I met with all 10 people in person. I just think a lot of it comes down to people try to, sell they try to sell too much, when in all actuality, this is the reality with anybody you work with. And from a warm transfer standpoint, it requires how many people you have in your database, how many conversations you're having on a weekly basis, how much are you nurturing them, how are you nurturing them, what are you nurturing them with, I think are all important elements towards actually building a sustainable real estate business over time. Because if you look at the top teams in the world, that's really what they're doing. They're tracking every single element of what their, the conversations had, the in-person meetings, what happened in those in-person meetings. I think that a lot of it comes down to marketing, making sure we're speaking the right message. But the other portion of it really comes down to sales. Your ability to sell, persuade, and to negotiate on behalf of the customer, but also for the client as well.
It's a different perspective when you show up. And this is something that I very strongly teach in my networks, both with my private clients and outside of that, is that when you show up to get, you oftentimes get very little. But when you really show up to any conversation, any relationship, saying, what's the need and what can I give? How can I fulfill this need? I think people feel that, they recognize that, and they have a desire to want to follow you, right? They trust you, because they don't feel like you're just trying to get them to do something that's good for you. You're really genuinely having a conversation to find out where you at, what are your goals, what's your plan to get there, what needs do you have? And that's a 3-part framework that we teach, our agents when they're meeting with strategic partners, is just what's the goal, what's the plan, and what needs do you have? And I hear that coming out with you when it comes to meeting with individual homeowners. And this is one of the things that I love what you guys do, because although agents could do that, oftentimes they just fall short of time, right? The time to have that with enough people they run out of it, or they aren't good enough at it to where they enjoy that, right? Especially when
Yep.
when there's not a relationship in place, people sometimes aren't the kindest, right? They've been interrupted, and so really what you guys have done is really kind of outsource some of that, right? To where those conversations that are needed are happening in your absence and then turned over to you at the time that they're ready to go see something in person. Is that right? Is that how I understand how you guys are solving this equation of needing to have that ongoing nurturing happen, but without it having to take away from the hours in the day that an agent has?
You're 100% right. Like, we like something we pride ourselves on is like really plug and play into the agent's business to give them the freedom and the flexibility. Do they still have to work? Of course they still have to work. Like, there's no lay down sale that happens. Like, it's like, hey, I want to buy $1 million home. That's not a lay down sale. Whether or not like somebody's ready to buy, there's work that you have to do on the front end. Like, what we do is we run the ads, on Facebook, Instagram, Google, TikTok. Every platform is totally different. Every platform requires something different. So we run ads on every platform. We dial the leads, and we can either hire you a dedicated agent. So onboard, hire, train, retain, where that's a big pain point for a lot of real estate teams, where they're like, I don't know how to onboard. I don't know how to hire. I don't know how to retain. I don't know how to train talent. I don't know how to, I don't know how to actually I don't have the right scripts. We've worked with tons of teams that like are just using the wrong scripts. They're saying the wrong things, and which is like why they're not getting in-person meetings set. So it's a mixture of live transfers. So like, if this is the first time we've had an interaction with the actual lead, then we'll send them as a live transfer for kind of do like more so that the agent has a better chance at actually converting the in-person meeting than like an ISA would. So the first time connecting goes to the agent, live transfer, the agent will convert the in-person meeting. If they're already in the database and they're already on a property search hunt, then we will essentially call them on behalf as like kind of a courtesy call. This would be like a more of a dedicated agent that we hire, train, and retain. And then those would be in-person showings. So, multiple different things that we do, but it's really based around three, what we call three machines: fill the funnel, nurture the leads, set appointments. Those are our three machines that drive longevity in a business. Because if you look at a lot of these larger teams, or even like a lot of these larger companies, that's essentially what Zillow is doing. It's just the difference between what we're doing in Zillow is like you own the data. So you own the database. So you're not held contingent to Zillow. So if Zillow decides to 3x their pricing, then you've lost your business essentially, or you lost a very large portion of your business. Where when you build the database, you run ads, you own the list, you own the database. So that's essentially what we do. Like, it's like try to either A, create live transfers and booked appointments in the calendar, or B, try to set in-person showing. So another thing that we're really passionate about right now is like a large portion of our company is bilingual. So really have a big focus to serve the Hispanic market at a high level. It's a very so if Spanish speaking realtors serving the Spanish population is massive in Miami and across the country. My entire call center is bilingual. So we run ads in English, we call in Spanish, we can call in English, we can call it we just really want to serve the real estate community at a really high level. And the Spanish speaking market is a very massively undertapped market, especially in the United States.
Man, so many gold nuggets there, Cody. That three-part value proposition you guys have, right? Find the lead, nurture it, and set an appointment. Again, most agents, I think, don't scale because in order to deliver those three things, there's so many components of what you describe. I've got to, first of all, be confident enough that I can get enough leads to support somebody. And then once I feel like I do, then I've got to go hire somebody or recruit somebody and retain that person, right?
Yeah.
And then I've got to be sure that once I do that, that they're using the right scripts that will convert enough business to support them and the rest of the business, right? And then it's set the appointments where somebody can go actually convert that business. Like, there's so many variables in there that could go wrong that I think most agents are like, I'm fine just working as a solo agent, right? Because all of that is super intimidating, and it's fine, right? But for those that want more, for those that say, I want to actually spread the love and add in additional teammates and build something special, I just want to do that, but I don't want to take on all this added responsibility myself. I want to actually have quality of life myself, to where I'm not going from real estate agent to HR manager. You guys really come to the table with a really interesting proposition, is that without taking the data, right, you are taking on those, all the responsibility that builds up to giving those 3 deliverables: finding the lead, nurturing the lead, and turning it into an actual appointment, right? Which is every agent's dream. As if someone could I could just wake up in the morning and have appointments on my calendar of people that wanted to either go see homes or come list their home. Like, I'd be really good at this business. And I'm telling you, like, what you've developed here without giving up the data, which we all know is the most valuable part of any business.
100%.
It's awesome. And I love the solution.
I appreciate that. Yeah. It's one of those things that, if we can dial in the right messaging, like it was something we say to our clients all the time where, like you serve the, like, for example, our clients that serve the Hispanic market, like that's a niche in itself where it's like, if you can target people that are looking for properties that, speak Spanish, and from the ad to the thank you page, to the text message, to the email reminders, to the call that they get from the ISAs, all in Spanish, and then they get transferred to a Spanish speaking agent, that's a huge value prop, like for them. But like beyond that, like it's also what I encourage every real estate agent that we work with is I always encourage them to look at what their niche could potentially be. Like what, this is something from a marketing perspective where it's like, it doesn't mean that we're not going to serve everyone. We're going to serve everybody that wants to buy and sell real estate. But it's like in our marketing, can we think of something that makes us stand apart? So like, I encourage, when we first started in the space, I encouraged a real estate agent that was in my local market to, niche down to people that want to buy waterfront. And that was a really big catalyst for his business. And he actually said to me, it's like, that was like the thing that really helped us take off, was this understanding this idea of niching and marketing. It was a really, really massive focus that he was able to, create an entire business around selling waterfront property. And then when we went even deeper with like business owners looking for waterfront property. So if you can really sit down and think about what is my unique selling proposition, and then the other element is not only what is my unique selling proposition, but what is my unique selling proposition to a specific niche market. It doesn't mean that you're not going to serve people who want to buy and sell real estate, that are, buying $400,000 properties. That doesn't mean that. It just means the messaging that you have towards that specific niche market is more in congruency with their pain points and what they're looking for at the time. So that's something that, again, we really focus on when we work with clients on the front end. First thing we ask them is like, do you have a niche market you're working in? Do you have a target market? And then we try to develop an offer around that, because we find that we still pick up anyone that wants to buy and sell real estate, but then we just over time through repetition become the A player in that specific market, and we become a no-brainer agent for somebody that wants to buy and sell waterfront property.
It makes total sense. If you can give people what they're looking for, right, then you win. Cody, I want to point everyone's attention that's listening to this, whether you're listening on the podcast or whether you're listening live or to the recording afterwards. I've put on the bottom of the screen here, for those that can see it, a link to the agent course. And there's tons of value in here, guys. So much value. I'd really encourage you to go and take a look at that. The website for those that are just listening to the podcast, it's re.studioptbo.com/client kit. Again, that's re.studioptbo.com/client kit. Would really encourage you to go there, take a look at that, and gain access to this wealth of information that Cody has delivered to those that are simply tuning into this show. I appreciate that very much, Cody. Any final words, Cody, that you would say around the topic of marketing and advertising, right? We've really discussed how it's really having conversations with people to identify what their needs are, and then fulfilling that just in the way that you guys are delivering kind of your service. It's all about, what do people really want? How do they need to be communicated with? How do they want to be communicated with? And delivering it like what people want, how they want it, right? At the end of the day, that's what we're doing when we're marketing. It's not about getting something from other people. It's about giving real value. Is there anything else that you would add around this topic?
I would just look at current market trends. Become a knowledge broker right now. If you're a real estate agent, like no matter what state you're in or what area you're in the world, like, be a knowledge broker. Like, find out ways in order to make like magic happen for your clients. There are certain things that we were at a conference 3 weeks ago with Sheridan, and I just had no idea that you could pull, they were coming up with creative financing ways, like pulling money out of your 401k in order for a down payment on a home. Like, that's just something that a lot of real estate agents don't talk about. So, find different ways and different entry points to continually give value back to your clients and people that are in your database. The biggest thing I would say from a marketing perspective, like if you knew nothing else other than, if you have 500 people in your database, you should aim by the end of the year to have 1,000. And then in that 1,000, if you just dedicate yourself to making sure that list is emailed 3 times a week, you'll see massive results. Like email, like the biggest thing I would say to any real estate agent, because real estate agents for some reason, even to this day, are like very weary about sending emails to their list. You should be emailing your list at least 3 times a week. 99 emails a day on average, usually what a person gets. So it's like you're irrelevant if you're only doing your market update email once a month. Like they're just not seeing it. Like even if they're seeing it and you have a 50% open rate, you only emailed them once. They're remembering you once a month. There's a reason why we say post every day on social media. It's the same thing with your email. You should be emailing your list at least 3 times a week. And if you do that, that is nurture. Your once a month email is not nurture. Like if you're only connecting with your people in your database once a month, you're not nurturing your database. Like 3 times a week minimum should be the goal, and should be adding 2, 3, 4, 500 emails every single month to your database should be the goal as well.
Yeah, different perspective for sure. And I think a lot of agents are reluctant to do that. And here's why I believe it is, because they've outsourced their emails to something that doesn't sound like their voice. So when their friends receive it, they either unsubscribe or they delete and even don't even open. Whereas when it can sound like it's coming from you, like when I get Cody's emails, I feel like they're coming from you. It's your voice, right? And so there's this human connection together with great value. I would say if you're outsourcing your emails to something that you can't at least personalize to make it sound somewhat like you, they're not getting an email from you. They're getting an email from some service, right? So I think it's important that when you're talking about showing up in people's inboxes, it's you. Doesn't mean that you necessarily have to write it forever, but it needs to be your content, your ideas, your voice, your tone, to where people really feel like they're building a relationship with you and you are their knowledge broker, as you've referenced, Cody.
Exactly.
Let's final question of the day. You are a big thinker, or you and I were having a conversation just this past week that expanded my possibilities, right? And I feel like this is just a general theme of people that interact with Cody May, is that you've paid the price to be around other big thinkers. It's rubbed off on you. You are now a big thinker and you're rubbing off on other people. So again, I'm grateful to have you here today. What does Cody May do to continue to be a big thinker, to continue to expand your possibilities? What does that look like?
Live events, man. Live events change lives. The more I can get around people that are doing really cool things in different industries, like I made it a goal for myself to be at least 1 live event per quarter. That is the goal, and that is what I've been doing. I just got back from Sheridan's event in California about 3 weeks ago. I'm headed to an event this week that I'm speaking at in Miami at a NAR event. I try to get around people that are doing cool things in cool places. I've been a part of masterminds with people like big thinkers. I'm not afraid to reinvest back into my personal growth because I know that it allows me to think bigger. Like you said, I find that when I go to events, specifically live events, it unlocks a totally different part of my brain that allows me, even if I'm not necessarily engaging with the content of the person speaking, it unlocks new ideas because I'm around people that are thinking big, and I'm around people that are inspired, excited, and grateful about life. And even the conversations we have whenever I try to go to events, I try to go with other entrepreneurs that are doing cool things as well. So that would be the thing I would say is, like, if you're unsure of just where to start, get to a live event at least once or twice a year. It'll absolutely change your life. I have friends that just got back from Funnel Hacking Live who were like, it was amazing. You should have been there. And I unfortunately couldn't go this year, but live events, man. Live events change lives. Try to get as many live events as you can.
I love it. I'm actually flying out to one today. So I appreciate that. It's good. Good validation. It's a good decision. Cody, thank you so much for everything that you've contributed here. I know you and I have plans to do a lot more together in the future. I'm excited about that. And I would encourage everybody for listening here today, and you've ever thought to yourself, I want to scale, right? I want to grow beyond just how many times I can pick up the phone, how many times I can respond to emails. There is a cap to that. Now we can stretch that by having the right upstream partners. We can stretch that, but imagine if you could even take it one step beyond that. Once you get to the point where you have those partners in place and yet your time is still capped. What if you were to employ other people that necessarily weren't on your payroll, but other people who are expert at delivering appointments in your inbox? Cody's the guy for that. Excited to continue to allow you, Cody, or invite you to continue to help me to think bigger. So very appreciative of that. So thank you for that. And everybody listening here today, my final request is this. They're 3 simple words, and they are go think bigger. Cody, thanks so much for helping us do that today, my friend. I'm thrilled to be in partnership with you. Talk soon, my friend.
Hey, we'll see you soon.
If you enjoyed this episode, then I have a very special invitation for you. I have created a private Facebook community called Successful Real Estate Agents, where the focus is going beyond success, having both a successful business and a significant life. If you're not yet a member, go sign up now.